For joining us for this COVID-19 briefing for Friday, December 4th. We will start with today's testing numbers for all of our healthcare organizations. These are system-wide numbers. As of this morning, 93,504 total tests have been conducted, 10,550 came back positive, 82,544 are negative. We have 410 tests currently pending. In the hospital today, between Merritt Health Wesley and Forest General, we have 93 patients who are COVID positive. That's 14 over where we've been for the last 2 weeks. And of those 93, we have 34 in the ICU, which is about 12 over where we've been in the last 14 days. As you can see, in much of this briefing, there's not a whole lot of good news and a whole lot that's not unexpected. But what we are seeing is hospitalizations continue to stay in the higher amounts of what we've seen. The troubling thing now is our ICU admissions are starting to track those hospitalizations. Statewide today, there were 2,480 new cases with 37 new deaths. And unfortunately, yesterday, one of those new deaths were in Forest County, bringing the totals to 87 in Forest County, 50 in Lamar, and we send our condolences to the members of that family. New positive cases today, Forest County had 54 new cases, Lamar County had 28, which brings totals to date 4,055 in Forest County, 3,103 in Lamar County. Our 5-day average, again, not a whole lot unexpected here. Forest County's back up at the 40 mark, Lamar County over 30, so we're again in the 70s, which we've only been in about 2 other times since this began. Our inside 14-day number, this is the number of people who have received their positive test result in the last 2 weeks. It gives you an idea of how many active cases we could have in our broader community. 507 now in Forest County, potential active cases, 414 in Lamar County. And we continue to break new ground, unfortunately, and we'll touch on this number in just a little bit. Week over week, last Friday we were at 440 potential active cases. We're at 507 now. Lamar County a week ago we were at 325, now at 414. So in just over a week we've jumped by about 150 active cases. Hospitalizations, kind of the same story. We were at 71 last Friday, 93 today. 20 last Friday in the ICU, now 34. Our goals continue to be protecting the vulnerable populations in our community, people that are over the age of 60 or people with underlying or chronic health conditions. Also preventing the overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread and continuing to prioritize public health while allowing the private sector to continue as it is. Speaking of the health system, we always try to keep an eye, particularly when we see higher numbers, on what the available hospital bed capacity is right now. As of 2:30 this afternoon, Forest General had 20 acute beds available and 2 ICU beds available. Merritt Health Wesley had 8 to 10 acute beds available. They're already 4 over their ICU initial capacity, but they can make way for 2 more ICU beds available if needed. I will say that, as we do when we talk about hospital capacity, typically what you see is in the morning there will be lots of discharges, and then as the afternoon goes on, you will start seeing admissions start to happen. And I will say that both of our hospitals have rather full emergency rooms right now, so a lot of those available beds are going to be taken up with people transferring from the ER into a hospital room, and so that capacity is really going to be, it's going to tighten as we get closer to the 5 o'clock hour and beyond. Bottom line, as we end another week, we are in a tough spot as a community with COVID-19, which is not unexpected. And we're still not sure that we're seeing the full effects of Thanksgiving just yet. That'll be another week or 10 days. Forest County's added over 50 new cases each of the past 3 days. That's 158 cases in 3 days. Lamar County has added 125 new cases in 3 days. And as we mentioned on Wednesday, the average age of many of these new cases is going up. As of today, in the Hattiesburg Clinic, 43, 44 was the average age, and this means that many who are getting the virus will have a hard time getting over the virus. Furthermore, our inside 14-day number, which is again the number of potential active cases in our community, is now at an all-time high at 921. It passed the previous mark of 820 earlier this week, and both counties are now seeing all-time highs. Furthermore, these new active cases are translating into more COVID-related hospitalizations and ICU admissions, which of course will put pressure as the month continues and the weather gets colder on available beds. So what does this tell us? It means right now that we should do our part, collectively and individually, to do those things that we know work, and those are wearing a mask, practicing social distance, and avoiding unnecessary gatherings altogether. We normally say avoid large crowds, but Dr. Dobbs came out with some guidance this week that says if there's an unnecessary social gathering, we need to try to avoid those, particularly when we cannot wear masks. And especially at this critical time where early diagnosis is critical to try and get people isolated so they don't spread it to other people, I want you to know where you can be tested this weekend if you need to. Hattiesburg Clinic's Cough and Fever Clinic on 49 South will be available from 8 to noon Saturday and Sunday. The Systemwide Minor Health Clinic, that's the clinic on 27th Avenue near Forest General, will be open Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 9. Merit Health Wesley's Pediatric Clinic, which of course is just for kids, located on Franklin Road on the Merit Health Wesley campus, will be available for walk-ins 9 to noon, only tomorrow though. Of course, as we get to Monday, C.E. Roy Community Center free testing service opens back up on Mondays from 8 to noon, as well as the Forest County Health Department's drive-through testing capacity over on the 42 bypass from 7 to 7 on Monday. Of course, if you access the health department's drive-through testing, you have to schedule that in advance at covidschedule.umc.edu. And several bits of city news for you today. Today, we announced the first 9 appointments, the first slate of appointments to the new Police Citizen Review Board that was passed by the City Council in November. This group will help foster that honest communication, that dialogue that will strengthen relationships between law enforcement and the community, as well as be a check on chief's decisions when it comes to critical incidents. And so we know there are a lot of honest conversations that were happening around social justice and accountability and the need to build better relationships earlier this summer. And I thank all of the people in the organization and city council members who helped foster turning that dialogue into action. And so once again, Hattiesburg is trying to be ahead of the curve, trying to get this panel out there to not only prevent a bad situation, but also really just to strengthen that trust between the community and the police and the police department. And so these 9 will go for approval from the City Council on Tuesday, and we look forward to seeing them serve in this role. We also want to remind you that if you're in Ward 5, you can access Ward 5 City Councilman Nick Brown's Grab and Go. This is something he does periodically. This time it's in Palmer's Crossing at DeWitt Sullivan Park. That'll be from 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow, and they'll be giving away meals and masks. We also want to extend our well wishes to our neighboring cities and schools. Lumberton is playing right now for a state championship. Oak Grove plays tonight, so we wish them all the best as they try to bring home a state championship. Last night we lit the Christmas tree in Town Square Park, and it was a very different scene than what we're used to. Instead of the hundreds of people going to the parade and then coming to the park, it was only a few city employees as well as the participants. And but we hope that with your immediate family that you were with on a regular basis, that you'll take time to go see the lights, that you'll see the lights around downtown, the new lights on Highway 49. And we appreciate all of our city employees for making this happen each and every year. And finally, 2 acts of courage for you today. Today it was announced that our Hattiesburg High baseball coach Joe Hartfield will retire at the end of the year. He's been with the school district for over 14 years and of course led the Hattiesburg Tigers on that magical run in 2018 to a state title. We appreciate not only the prowess he has continued to develop with the baseball program, but also just the impact he has on student athletes, particularly at a time when he himself was facing tremendous difficulties with his health. And so to Coach Hartfield, we wish you a very healthy and happy retirement. And finally, one piece of history for you today. It was today 70 years ago, on December 4th, 1950, that Ensign Jesse L. Brown gave his life for our country. Of course, Jesse L. Brown, Hattiesburg native, was the first black aviator in the United States Navy. He crashed his plane on the Korean Peninsula. One of his fellow pilots, Thomas Hudner, tried valiantly to save him, which established a long-standing relationship between Captain Hudner and the city of Hattiesburg. But on this anniversary, on this solemn anniversary, we send our well wishes to Jesse Brown's family and remember his courage and his sacrifice for our country. As we go into the weekend, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself. Please wear a mask if you go out in public. Do only what is essential, and remember, especially right now, you are safer at home. Have a great weekend.